Well, joining us to discuss the foray of Chinese property developers into the U.S. and the Chinese property sector in general is Craig Nassi. He is the principal and founder at BCN, a national real estate development and construction company. And he's also a guest lecturer at New York's Stern School of Business. Craig, thanks for joining us again.
Thank you.
Craig, as we just highlighted in the package, there is now a foray of Chinese developers moving into the U.S. market as signaled by Chinese company Vanke having a joint venture with Tishman Speyer. Do you see this as a growing trend of Chinese developers moving into the U.S.?
I do. There's a lot of talented Chinese developers that have come up in the last few years, last decade, throughout China. They've been very successful, and they want to branch out and diversify their risk, diversify the dollars they have.
As an American real estate developer, how do you view this trend of Chinese companies moving onto U.S. soil?
I think it's natural. I think it's normal. I think many Chinese business people, their ultimate dream is to do business in the United States. The ultimate dream is to be democratic in the way they live, and being in the center of democracy in the United States and doing business, doing what you do best, is like a dream come true.
Do you see any reciprocity between American developers moving into China on a smaller scale, not on the size of Tishman Speyer, for example?
I personally don't. I mean, we have everything here. We have a great economy. We have 50 states. We have the South. We have the North. We have Hawaii. We have everything in this country to do as a developer. There's really the reason for an American company to go to China and set up shop would be shocking to me. I mean,
why?
Just to conform to the rules and the regulations and the lack of, I mean, once you go out of the core centers of cities there, the lack of English-speaking people, I think it would be very difficult for an American to do business in China. But vice versa, I think it's much different. I think Chinese coming here would be very open-armed. I think people would welcome it. And I think the American way, the idealist American way, is to open arms and to embrace people to come here and do business.
Let's focus on this particular deal with China Vanke and Tishman Speyer. According to Credit Suisse, the marketing is going to be aimed at Chinese mainland buyers. Do you see that as a trend for American developers really gearing their product towards Chinese buyers?
I personally don't. I personally don't. Some of the statistics I've seen already say that the average Chinese person, the middle class as they're calling it, in China, only sees real estate as the ultimate investment, rather than the American concept of having a balanced portfolio of stocks, bonds, gold, just diversified. In China, they're very, very bullish on owning real estate. It's the ideal. And the average middle-class person owns up to 5 different condominiums today. And
where?
In major cities in China now. There was a clip in one of the papers last week just centering on how the Chinese government is now implying a 1 condo per city law to try to slow down the consumption of condominiums.
What are some of the other measures that you think the Chinese government should be taking to cool down the housing market?
I think that's a great one, because you don't want too many people investing in just one type of asset like that, condominiums, for instance. Right now, I think it's very smart that they don't have loan programs out there that are high leveraged. The average Chinese person going to buy a condominium can't get a 90% loan, as we saw in our last crash in our housing market. Things like that are very, very smart, and I think the government is in a place where they understand how important it is for real estate to be steady and calm, and they're not going to let a bubble occur. I really believe that. It's too delicate, and the government's, what I've seen them doing, implementing these things here and there, is just a very smart way to slow things down without things, coming to a crumble.
Okay, that's going to have to leave it there. Craig Nassi, principal and founder of BCN Development. Thanks for joining us.